I think so. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first ever Blab. We have to give a shout out to Coach Jenny, who is here on the Blab for introducing us to this awesome platform. As you guys know, we are normally and always huge fans of Google and Google Hangout. This is a really cool new platform that people have been describing as Periscope for groups, so we're excited to use it. The reason we're here today is the first of hopefully many Blabs, but we're talking specifically about the road to solopreneur success. So about the ups and downs and the curves, to use the road analogy. And we are also talking about the Solopreneur Success Bundle, which is, as you guys probably know, our roundup of 19 different products that serve women business owners who are starting out or leveling up their businesses. So Sarah, do you want to give a little overview of this Blab platform?
Yeah, I'm just dropping some info about the bundle into the chat, hopefully, if I can find the enter key. There we go. Okay. All right, so maybe we should wait a few minutes, but I'll go over it anyway with, so this is strictly tips that I learned from Coach Jenny, who we dubbed the Queen of Blab last night during our OWS chat. I think she liked that. All right, so just a couple logistics. We're going to start it with just Christina and I speaking and our two little bubbles up, or squares up here. The bubbles up top show who's actually in the Blab live. And then we really want this to be collaborative, so keep the chat going on the side. In order to respond to somebody's comment, I did not know this the other day, so I looked like a fool in the chat. Just hover over their message that they've written in the chat or their handle there, and there's a star there that you can favorite what they've said, or you can hit that arrow, and that'll actually start the response in the chat box below. So that's super exciting. We want you to just keep talking over there and feel free to post questions there. So a really cool way to post a question so that we definitely see it is to type / and then Q, and then this is your question. Yeah, cool. So Jenny's showing you over there. That gray question box shows up just by hitting that / and Q before you type your question. As far as we know, Blab has come a long way since it started. We're pretty brand new to the platform, but it's improving every day, so we're super pumped about that. All right, so Christina, do we want to open that seat to Coach Jenny and put her in the hot seat first?
Putting you right in the hot seat, Jenny.
Honey, hit that join button if you're brave.
You.
I didn't check my hair.
Awesome. So what we're going to do, hi, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Like your little mirror, huh?
Yeah, you should look in a mirror before you get on a camera that's already on record.
Overrated.
I should learn that. How are you guys?
Good. So just so everyone knows, what we're going to do is we are going to chat with some of our contributors who have joined us, interrogate them a little bit about their road to solopreneur success and their product, which is in the Solopreneur Success Bundle. And then, if we don't have contributors on at any given time, we'll chat about our road to solopreneur success. You guys can join us to talk about yours, and we'll talk about some questions we've been getting about the bundle as well. So Jenny, tell us, you responded in a blog post, which is part of our blog tour, The Road to Solopreneur Success. But we are curious about two different things. One is the areas of your business that you struggle with most and any changes you plan to make. And then the second part of the question is areas of your business that you feel comfortable in or like in, and if you just jump off.
She broke up a little bit toward the end of that. Sarah, what was the second half of the question?
So the parts of the business that you feel you excel in, basically.
Okay.
There. Yeah.
Sorry about
Gotcha.
that.
No, it's not your fault. It's just you got a little robotic sounding. I want to make sure I got it. So I've been in business 9 years as of this month, which is pretty ridiculously surprising to me. Now, when I say that I've been in business for 9 years, it has not been full time for 9 years. There were a few years there that it was really a glorified hobby, and then it turned into a side hustle, and then it was an actual thing. And so I know very few people are willing to say that when they say, I've been in business for 9 years. It makes it sound like I've been successful for 9 years, and that would be BS. I struggled with the most is listening to too many people, and not just one-on-one or actually talking to people, like buying all the programs, taking all the courses, and letting them collect dust and not implementing. So that's where I struggled. And to say struggled is wrong. The truth is it was just procrastination. And we all have that kind of procrastination thing. You've created this wonderful bundle. You've assembled this wonderful bundle that will be so powerful if you implement everything that's inside. If you take it one at a time based on the priority of what information you need, and actually follow through and implement. If you take Sarah's program, for example, and say, I want to kickstart my content, I want to make sure that I have a blog strategy, and you just read it and say, oh, that was nice, and move on, you will not have a blog strategy. If you actually implement it, I love it. I was reading through it last night. When you get to chapter 5, she's like, you're not allowed to start chapter 6 until you finish chapter 5. I'm like, yes. I'm not doing chapter 6 until I write the blog post before I start editing it. You have to actually implement it. So that was the one thing I struggled with big time. And then
I just want to cut you off real quick. I'm sorry. No, so that, I mean, we talk about that all the time. It's all about doing the work, right? And I think we've all fallen victim to just letting stuff collect dust. I'm wondering real quick before you move on, if you could talk about how you have pretty much chosen where you've invested in stuff and how you've gotten it done, how you've actually dove in and made sure you made time to make the most of it.
Good question. As solopreneurs, we spend way too much time in the solo. So the way that I make sure I implement something is I don't go it alone. So that's why I'm part of groups like One Woman Shop, right? And find a few people that are doing the same thing. I literally don't even read business books alone anymore. I'm like, I'm reading Essentialism. Everybody read Essentialism. So I have somebody to discuss it with. I won't even read alone. It's so important when you work by yourself in your home, on your kitchen table, that you're finding ways to digest and implement and ask questions and go through it with people. So I do this for my clients, and I make sure I do it for myself as well. For my clients, I create masterminds and blabs and all kinds of interactive opportunities, Facebook groups, whatever, so that people can go through these experiences together. And the truth is, every time you do that, you get through the material better, you enjoy it more, you learn more. It's just a win-win for everybody. So I hope that answers your question, Sarah.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think you just gave away all our best tips that we had for how to make the most of the bundle in a good way. We appreciate it. No, but I mean, that's exactly, some ideas we had were go through the bundle with a buddy, have an implementation calendar so that you make sure you're actually working on this material. I think just to reiterate your point about really making sure you're doing the work is at the end of each lesson for the Building Your Online Community e-course, which is in the bundle, we say take action. And it's kind of a homework assignment from us.
Right.
So just broken record on you have to implement, or else the bundle is not going to do you any good. You're not going to see $99 of value if you're not actually implementing any of this stuff.
Yeah, but the $99 of value is so easy to get to if you implement one of these courses. I mean, you've already exceeded half of a course, right? Like pick any of them. And that's what's really wonderful. It's such an easy way to get everything you need. Like it is a one-stop shop of everything you need. And then you can leave all the other things that you have dusty. You do. You have dusty on your computer somewhere. Just leave them. Just focus on these things now until the end of the year. And imagine if you just focused on 3 of the courses that solve a problem that you currently have in your business between now and the end of the year. And that's all you focused on. I promise you're going to more than triple that $99 investment. And imagine where you'll be at the new year, ready to launch whatever next big thing you have. So I think that's really important. It is so easy to be a student of entrepreneurship and not an actual entrepreneur.
That is perfect.
Yes. So don't be
entrepreneur.
Right, a entrepreneur. It can be a glorified hobby, where you're constantly reading the next thing and, oh, this is so fascinating, but you're not even printing out the workbook, print out the workbooks, do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's, I think in sharing your struggle, you also show us really where you excel. You know how to bring other people into it. You know how to build accountability. You know how to build community, which is awesome. Jenny runs an awesome Facebook group over at The Lab, the League of Ambitious Badasses. highly encourage you to check that out. But Jenny, tell us where you would say you've excelled most, unless I just did that for you.
No, you definitely did. It is definitely in community building and connecting other people. One of the things that I thought, oh, thanks, Sean, I love you. One of the things that I thought you had to do as a life coach for years is work with people one-on-one. And because of confidentiality, I was terrified of expecting a client to ever admit that they were working with the Audacity coach, because I wanted to protect their confidentiality. But when I opened up the Audacity Lab a little over 2 years ago, and I said, you know what, I wonder what will happen when I'm not the only one talking, when my clients are talking with each other, and then they meet other people, and my friends are talking with each other, my wife is talking to my clients, and people I don't know yet are starting to join this group. What will happen? And what happened is my business quadrupled in 2 years, because I have a free Facebook group. And I truly believe that all I have to do, my only job, is to every single day show up and feed the Facebook group, make sure that I'm providing some sort of value, be it asking questions like I would in a coaching call. And I literally am ripping the pages from my agendas, my coaching agendas, like, oh, I asked Sarah this question, I'm going to ask the whole lab. Or having a blab and bringing them over and having some FaceTime like you guys are doing right now. Those things are what I excel at, is just creating opportunities and access for badasses to connect with each other and to connect with me. And that makes all the difference.
I think building community, but the other piece of that you've said without saying, is that you see connections. And I think that is probably one of the greatest skills that a solopreneur can have, is being able to see this theme keeps coming up in coaching calls. Okay, well, this clearly is probably going to be coming up in the Facebook group, or in our accountability group. We talk about this aspect. So I'm sure that my coaching clients are going to want to talk about it. So I definitely think seeing connections is absolutely crucial. So it sounds like that's a skill of yours.
Absolutely. I think you just have to keep your ears open and pay attention to it. Most of the time, there's nothing that feels better as a solopreneur than to realize you are not the only one going through that. You're not the only one that feels that way. You're not the only one that thinks that way. And as soon as you realize you're not the only one, then you can see solutions. Then you can open yourself up and say, okay, what am I going to do about it? But when you feel like you're the only one, you feel crappy, you feel cruddy, you feel like you can't get past this. And bringing people together, creating connections, giving people the forum like you guys are right now to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of being a one-woman shop is really important, because then you feel heard, you feel listened to, and you can move forward.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, and we find this with most of the people that we even work with, like our members, is that we think we have really big problems or issues that are really hard to overcome. And what happens is all we have to do is share them and see that we're not the only ones experiencing it. We're not the only ones going through it. Other people have made it through alive. And that's all it takes to get us out of our own heads and actually solving the problem.
I like that. The other people have made it through alive. We will survive this. We will figure out this darn Twitter handle thing or whatever the heck it is of the day.
Yeah. So Jenny, we'll alleviate you from your spot in the hot seat, because I know you spend a lot of time on Blab. But before that, I would love to have you tell us what you have in the bundle and what it can help people do.
Oh, sure. So my contribution to the bundle is something I call Coaching Biz Badassery Boot Camp, because I like really complicated names. And Coaching Biz Badassery Boot Camp was originally a live 4-week boot camp that I ran. And it was extraordinarily successful. And I ran it with a bunch of coaches who wanted to figure out, how do I do this sample session thing so that it isn't douchey? How do I actually close the sale when I get off the phone in a way that isn't gross, like I learned in coaching school of, what's your credit card number? If you're serious, give me this. None of that kind of crap, right? So we pulled that away and said, okay, here's how I've been doing it. Let me give you a peek behind the curtain of my business, because the truth is it took me over 7 years to figure this crap out. And I wanted to shorten the learning curve of my clients and the other coaches I work with. After I did Coaching Biz Badassery Boot Camp, there was a call from the lab saying, what about the non-coaches? So I expanded the program so that it's for all solopreneurs who go through, anybody who has a consultation process where they get on the phone with somebody to decide whether or not to invite them into their work. Coaching Biz Badassery Bootcamp will walk you through everything you need to do. And if you're a coach, there's a lot of extra bonuses. Like I hand you workbooks that give you my coaching agreements and help you figure out how to plan your finances, which I call do the freaking math. And there's all kinds of really Coach Jenny experiences. But basically, bottom line, it's looking behind the curtain of my business, how I roll, how I've built my one-on-one coaching practice to be filled with amazing people like Sarah Frendina, and how you can do it too.
Awesome. Can you?
Yeah, no, that's I was just going to say, I would be remiss if I didn't say that Coach Jenny has been a crucial part of my road to solopreneur success.
Thanks, Sarah.
I was just going to ask you, you said a little bit about who it is for, but is there kind of an idea of who it's not for?
Yes, it's not for anybody who does not provide services that include a telephone call. So if you have, I'm trying to think of a good example. If you are somebody who does social media marketing or something like that, and you'll work with just about anybody, if you're not particularly selfish about your work and your practice or your freelance work and who you invite in, then it's not for you, right? It's definitely for somebody who wants to have a premium service where they're supporting people one at a time. And if you're only working with groups or you're only selling info products or something like that, it's not for you. Good question.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's probably not for people who aren't ready to implement the things that they read.
Oh God, no. It'll overwhelm you and you will hate me. If you're not ready to implement, it's not the way to go. It is broken into 4 modules. There are videos with workbooks. There's audio. I've tried to make it as simple as possible. And then I threw in a bonus workbook because I wasn't quite done talking yet. I felt like there was more to share. So there's a ton of content. And again, I originally delivered it in a 4-week boot camp and everybody was like, this is too much. So that's why I made it self-guided so they can go through it at your own pace. And some people will take a weekend and some people will take a year. And that's kind of wonderful. It depends on what you've got going on. But yeah, if you work with anybody one-on-one, especially if you're a coach and you want to have more one-on-one clients, and you want to figure out how in the world do I get clients in a way that works, soup to nuts, you're going to be covered.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jenny, for sharing. And yeah, anybody that gets their hands on a Coach Jenny workbook is in good shape because her workbooks are epic.
Yeah, I'm kind of famous for my workbooks. I like them.
So if anyone
Thanks
to join this seat, if anyone has a question for us or has a question for Jenny.
Oh, you want me to stick around? Or you want me to bowl?
If anyone has a question, or you can always come back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Seat's always open. Thanks, Jenny.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
So Christina, while we're waiting to see if anybody's brave enough to take this seat, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey to being a solopreneur and the areas that you struggle and excel in?
That's a great question, Sarah. So we didn't actually do proper introductions at the beginning and kind of assume that everyone knows who we are just because they have found out about us through our own communication. But I'm Christina, and I'm the founder of One Woman Shop and half of the One Woman Shop team now. So my journey to solopreneur success came about, actually, I got laid off when I was 23, which was probably shouldn't have been unexpected, but I think a layoff is always somewhat unexpected. And it was a really strange feeling because I was 23 years old and I was like, oh, my career just ended. And now I have to figure out the next step. And so I talked to a lot of different people, and I talked to my sister. I think she's going to watch this recording later, so shout out to Sarah. And basically everyone's reaction was, of course you should start a business. Duh. Like, you should run a business. Like, that is your thing. And so I basically started shamelessly putting myself out there, using a lot of the techniques that we talk about in building your online community e-course.
Imagine that.
I know, right? And started building business. And so I was working with clients and doing social media marketing, blogger outreach, kind of other aspects of project management for digital marketing. And basically it was on my own. And I thought, if I am on my own running a business, there has to be other women out there who are also on their own running a business and feeling lonely and feeling overwhelmed. And so that's how One Woman Shop came about. And then Sarah slowly wormed her way in bit by bit, and now we're equal partners, and it's the best feeling ever. And so couldn't be where we are, One Woman Shop, without having brought Sarah on board as a partner.
Well, thank you for that.
It's true. So I would love to continue that conversation, my kind of ups and downs. But Marianne, I just see that you popped into the Blab, and since you're a contributor, we would absolutely love for you to consider taking a seat, no pressure. But if you do want to chat with us a little bit about your product and your road to solopreneur success, then you can just click grab a seat or join.
I think it says join on there.
So
she's at work right now, but
okay.
Cool. Appreciate you joining, Marianne. Awesome.
Marianne, if you do want to drop your affiliate link into the chat here in case anyone wants to go to your site and find out more about you and the product that you've included, definitely feel free to do that in the chat. But yeah, I'll just quickly do my kind of highs and lows or roses and thorns of solopreneurship, and then I'm going to totally put you on the hot seat, Sarah. So what I struggle with is ideas. And so my joke is that anytime on any form of moving transportation, plane, train, car, elliptical, treadmill, anything that moves, my mind apparently is like, okay, we have to like get into action. So I come back from any trip or any road trip, any plane trip with like 20 billion ideas. And Sarah knows this because I just throw them all at her. So my struggle is absolutely having all of the ideas and just figuring out how to prioritize and how to implement, as Jenny said. So that's one of my struggles. And then I would say that the thing that I feel pretty comfortable with is building community. And so we can go into that a little bit more later. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about building your online community e-course. That is the thing I definitely feel pretty comfortable with and feel like if you guys have questions, definitely happy to answer those. It's an area that I love doing, as Sarah knows. I love emailing strangers.
Well, before we move on, let's talk a little bit more about your struggle, because I know that you actually just wrote a really fantastic post on this that will be going up soon on a guest site. But when it comes to having all the ideas and implementation, because I know obviously I'm your partner in that, what have you found that really works best?
I assume you're referring to the stalling post. Is that the one?
You bet.
Okay, well, so basically I wrote this post and I basically was staring one day at my to-do list and I was like, this to-do list is insane, so many things, I'm completely overwhelmed, and I just sat there and stared at it. And I was like, okay, this is not who I am. I'm not someone who doesn't take action. So I was like, how am I going to get back into action? So what I did is I went through my whole entire to-do list and I figured out the first step that I was going to take for each of those items. So some examples were, okay, I can't do this piece because I need to talk to Sarah. So then I put next to that action item, email Sarah, or chat Sarah, or do a video chat with Sarah. We talk a lot. And then, I go to the next item and be like, I know exactly what I need to do, but I'm just stalling. Like, there's no other reason than I'm just stalling. So I would write next to it, set a 15-minute timer, work on it for 15 minutes. So I got into action on that item. Or I would look at an item and I would be like, this is not going to happen. Like, I keep stalling because I know deep down I don't want to do it. And so I would maybe talk to Sarah and be like, listen, like, this is a great idea. I like it in theory. I'm not going to do it. So then it's kind of like, okay, well, do you want to do it? Is there something else we can pass it on to? Or do we, our kind of Huffington, as we like to do we complete a project by dropping it? And so some items kind of got to strike through on my to-do list. So that is definitely one of my number one techniques and one of my most recent techniques for really moving past that feeling of overwhelm and just kind of analysis paralysis.
Absolutely. No, I think that's something that most of us struggle with at different points throughout business, is that analysis paralysis. But I was just listening to a podcast, I believe it was Michael Hyatt, and he talks about doing the next right thing. And that's exactly it, is we see these things as huge projects, and it's just like, what's the next best thing, the next right thing I can do? And it's just getting ourselves in motion, right? Because once you have that motion, especially you, I noticed this, you take that first step and then suddenly it's just the snowball effect, right?
Yeah, it gets a little out of control. I'm like, oh, I haven't written a blog post in a while. And I'm like, here's 5 completed posts that I literally just wrote in the last hour. So like when I'm in the right mindset, to go. And so I definitely would like to ask you about your road to solopreneur success, but I'm also wondering if you, just to bring it back to the bundle quickly, if you want to talk about your huge project that you just nailed recently. So Sarah took on this kind of insane but awesome project. So go. Tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I've been at this as a full-time solopreneur for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in November. And I think for about 18 of those months, so a year and a half, I've been talking about creating a course when it comes to content strategy. And it's just been me on repeat for month after month after month. And what happened was we had this idea for this bundle about, I don't know, probably the idea 6 months ago, but we really started putting it together about 3 months ago. And we're reaching out to people to include their courses. And the whole time in the back of my mind, I'm saying, man, I wish I had that course created. Man, I wish I had that workbook written, whatever it was going to be. I wish it existed. And of course, you can keep wishing, and wishing's not going to get shit done. So about 3 weeks ago, I think I was on a call with my business coach, who's Coach Jenny. And it was just about taking that next best step. And I outlined the course in about 4 hours on a Saturday morning. And 2 weeks later, I had the course written. And it literally got finished probably at the 11th hour, to be literal. It literally was 11 p.m. and the bundle launched at midnight. But what I realized, honestly, is that I could have created it before, right? But this was the trifecta of the perfect situation. We had the bundle launching. I wanted it to be in there. I had worked now with clients for 2 years doing this. The course pretty much created itself just by me using examples that I've actually done and, case studies I've actually implemented. So it was really just about getting it out of my head and onto the page. And I think that's what a lot of us get stuck. It's, again, that analysis paralysis. I could have thought about it for another 2 years. But I actually had a little bit of external motivation with the bundle, but really it was finding that fire and just kind of starting and taking the first step and then seeing it snowball. So that's that I'm super over the moon to see that in the bundle. It's really kind of unreal for me.
It's amazing. I've read through it. I know Coach Jenny's read through it, and it's fantastic. And I want to use an analogy, a cooking analogy. So I think that, as you say, a lot of the content wrote itself because you've had this experience for the last 2 years. So I think it's finding this balance. And when you're creating anything, if you're creating a product or a bundle, it's finding this balance between letting things marinate, cooking analogy, and then deciding, okay, it's marinated enough, we're ready to cook. Because I think that had you forced it 2 months into your business, you probably wouldn't have had great content. But if, as you said, you waited 2 more years, maybe it would have just kind of never happened. That meat would have rotted in the marinating sauce in the fridge.
So you're a cook when you're not here, right?
So I love to cook. No, but I think that's really important, and we've talked about this a lot in different ways through coaching calls and through OWS chat, that a lot of people have said, when you have these one-on-one interactions, and like we said with Coach Jenny, when you start seeing these patterns, the content kind of writes itself at some point. It doesn't. You're literally spending 3 days straight working on your Kickstart, your content e-course, so it's not easy. But it kind of has a way of presenting itself, I would say.
Yeah, and honestly, like you said, if I would have started this a year ago, it wouldn't have been as easy. It wouldn't have been as good because I didn't have the experience. But what would have been more productive over the last 10 months than, stalling is if I wasn't beating myself up. That is one thing that we constantly do. If we see ourselves not making progress, we beat ourselves up. And I am notoriously good at beating myself up. So it's only now, hindsight's 2020. I can look at it now and say, this was the best time to create this. And I actually have something I'm super proud of because all of these things happened. But if you would have talked to me a month ago, I would have been incredibly embarrassed to be talking about a course that I've been talking about for so long, just on repeat and not actually putting the wheels in motion. But so yeah, it's Jenny says it's simple, not easy. Word. Word indeed, Jenny. So yeah, and I think what happens now is that, I finished that one course, and I've told Jenny this. I kind of expected when I started this whole solopreneur thing, we talk about passive income a lot. I thought that the first info product I created would just kind of be something I created, but I didn't want to market because I wasn't so proud of it. It would just be creating something to get something created. Instead, because I was able to actually take the time to get it right, it is something I'm super pumped about, but it's also something that has completely lit a fire under my ass to create more. So if you are nervous about getting that first info product out there, that first passive income stream, do the work and get it done. And if it's not something you're proud of, just let it be motivation to make it better in the future. Because I think the minute we actually see we can create something, it just makes us so much more confident in the next thing.
Yeah, and I think that to your point about you can always revamp and you can always improve stuff. And so one example of that, I created a productivity e-course way back in the day when I was running my own business, and it's available to all of our members. And I look at it now and I'm like, oh, it's so cringeworthy. The branding's outdated, some of the content's outdated, and it makes me want to cry a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, so we threw it all into a Google Doc, and it's called Revamping Productivity e-course. And there's going to be a new version of that e-course out. And so I would say nothing's ever final. You can always kind of improve and revamp. But one thing, to bring it back to the bundle,
yes.
One question that we kind of anticipated, so we included the frequently asked questions, is this bundle for me if I am brand new? Is this bundle for me if I'm super established? And I think that you address that head on in your Kickstart Your Content e-course, because on the intro page, you kind of address those two different markets. So can you tell us a little bit more about how, basically what I'm getting at is the thing we always talk about is just because you know it doesn't mean you're actually doing it. So you can talk a little bit about that in terms of the bundle and in terms of your e-course or your workbook.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, the bundle's really aimed at people that are just starting out, but also the people that want to level up, because so many of these products can help you at different stages of your business. But, the tagline for my Kickstart Your Content course is aimed at newbies and stalled pros. So it's the people that might have been in the game for 2, 3, 5, Jenny, 9 years. And they've been blogging, but they don't have a strategy behind it. So they're not seeing any results from it. They're not really motivated to do it because they don't see why they're doing it. So there's those two markets there. And it's that notion of, I know I should be blogging, but I have no idea why. Or I know I should be blogging, but I'm just not doing it. And the same goes for, I look at the products in the bundle and I'm super psyched about having the bundle, because when I was first starting out, I could have used, 10 of the 19 products. Now I can use 19 of the 19 products, because now I can really see a place for all of them. Because the price anything, for example, I grab my prices out of thin air half the time, and then I test and I see what works. But now I can see a use for that. The How to Clone Yourself by Amber McHugh. I'm super pumped about that, because I know I should be implementing systems. I know they can make my business run smoother. I can make more money. I can have more time. Am I doing it? No. So it's that exact, it's so easy to find ourselves just going through the motions. And Christina, you've talked about that, like being in maintenance mode almost, where you're not seeing the places you can improve. So even for the people that have been in this for so long, there's just always room for improvement.
Absolutely. And it's funny, as you were saying that, I can use all of the products. I'm even thinking of the Building Your Online Community e-course, which we wrote ourselves. I'm like, we could totally go back through it, and we could absolutely remind ourselves, you know, you and I talk about this a lot. We really, really want to pick up guest posting. But it's, you know, there's so many priorities, and so sometimes it gets kicked to the wayside. And so it's like, if we went through our own e-course, we could be like, oh crap, we really have to hold ourselves accountable on this. So I think that you're absolutely right that we, as one woman shop, and you as a solo business owner, can absolutely make use of all those products.
Yeah, and I should be clear that I'm the perfect student for my own course too. As I was going through it, I'm sharing a case study of a client I did this for, yet my own blog often gets neglected. And I think, you know, part of that is the cobbler's children never have any shoes, right? But a lot of it is really just, I am the perfect market for my own course.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of this, I used to do some public speaking and presentations, and somebody had to drop out at the last minute, so I took over her topic, and it was all about practicing what you preach as a professional. And so it's like, you know, all these analogies, the cobbler's kids don't have shoes, and there's so many cliches like that. But it was really fun to be like, you know, how are you going to sell your social media marketing services when you have 0 Twitter followers, or you have 2 Twitter followers? So yeah, practicing what we preach is very crucial.
Absolutely. In fact, I want you to actually talk about how, you know, community actually brought us to where we are now. Because, you know, the product that is in the bundle for One Woman Shop, I think we mentioned a couple of times now, is building your online community. And it's also where Christina mentioned that she excels the most, because she really does. And I myself have learned a lot from Christina when it comes to this. So I was wondering if you would share a little bit about, you know, what you've seen the benefits of building your community are, and anything you want to share.
Yeah, for sure. I love talking about it. Real quick, just to answer one of Jenny's questions, which was, when is the productivity e-course going to be available? That's a really good question. We can get you a specific date. I feel like this is Jenny secretly shoving us to set a specific date, but it needs
fancy. I don't know. That's the one.
Right now, it's very much focused on kind of digital products and services, and we really want to revamp it to take into account things like energy management and maybe even some mentions of meditation. So it needs a pretty serious overhaul. So we will get back to you with an actual launch date.
Yeah, but that's another really great example of where, you know, we've seen what's really helped us productivity wise, and we've had the experiences now, and that's kind of what we're putting into it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So to go back to the building your online community e-course and some of those principles, I would say the 2 biggest principles that I think are kind of included in the e-course are the ideas of being extremely proactive when it comes to building your community. So I wrote a post on this pending, which is this myth of build it and they will come. And so Carrie from Careful Sense, who's also a contributor to the bundle, she said on a Twitter chat, and it just stuck with me, is build it and they will come, ... if you promote. And so I think that there's this myth of, you know, you just pop something up and all of a sudden everyone wants your services and they want to be part of your community and they're knocking down the door. And so my friend and I were talking about this, and we came up with this metaphor, which is, you build your house and then you move in, and your neighbors don't know that you moved in. Maybe you moved in the middle of the night. So you have to go door to door to your neighbors, and you go grab their hand and you go, come to my new home, have a muffin, have a cup of coffee, and you show them around. And so that obviously is like your website. So you go and you go out, you find people and you bring them back to your website. You know, you show them some of your best resources. So we have a page on One Woman Shop that's like the best of page. And just kind of be a guide for the people that you want in your community. So I think that's number one, is just being proactive. So that takes a lot of different forms, but one of them is cold emailing people. And I do this probably daily. And it's one of the reasons that we have so many great affiliates for the bundle, is because I found people who were working in the same kind of area we are, which is working with female solopreneurs. And even if I had no previous communication with them, I emailed them. I said, look, this is what we're doing. We think you would benefit because you get a cut of the commission. We think your community would benefit because clearly they're interested in business ownership. You get a lot of people who just straight up don't respond. They don't respond to a first email or a follow-up. And then you get a ton of people that, again, you have no previous communication with, and they are so excited to work with you, and they're so thankful that you reached out. So I think that's an important lesson, is remember you have something valuable to share, and there's always going to be people who don't know about you because they just don't, but you can be the person who introduces them to you. So.
Yeah, and making that ask really introduced us to so many new people where even if they, this wasn't the right timing or the right place for them, we've got this awesome library now of people in our community that we can reach out to in the future, right?
Absolutely. So actually, question for you, because we talk about this, is a lot of people don't reach out to people directly, and they don't send cold emails, and they don't tweet random strangers because they're really scared of rejection. They're scared that people won't be interested. How do you deal with that, and with that idea that people might just reject you? I know you have a strategy.
Yeah. So we talked about this the other day, is that when we make asks, we make it really easy for people to say no in a way that's not going to hurt us. So when we were asking people to join the bundle, we gave them, a significant amount of information. And then we asked for a yes, I'm in, or a no, this isn't right for me right now. And all they had to do was copy and paste that and send it. And a lot of times they would start with that and then give us a really honest explanation. And obviously we understand, but it's a lot easier than getting just kind of a harsh no. So that's one thing, is that I kind of set people up in the way that I would want to be let down if I'm giving them that yes or no option. Other times, when I've sent something out, where I've asked somebody for something, I usually just come at it from, I have expectations sometimes, but a lot of times I know that what I'm asking is for time or for skills. And so I could definitely have to come into it right with the right attitude that they might say no. But the other thing is that it's giving people options. So no, this isn't, this is another perfect example with the bundle. No, I can't contribute to the bundle right now, but I'd love to be an affiliate of the bundle. Or no, I can't commit to being an affiliate of the bundle, but if on launch day you send me a few tweets, I'll schedule them out. So we had people actually contribute and participate at different levels. And by offering them options, it made it easier to hear a no at a higher level and know that they were still going to participate in some different way.
Awesome point. Very good point. So we clearly, Sarah and I can just chit chat all day long. We actually have this giant Google Doc of all these things we want to talk about on future blabs. But I just wanted to re-invite everyone who is watching. We have a decent amount of people who joined us or who are just watching. Feel free to grab a seat if you want to share your road to solopreneur success. If you have questions for us, if you have questions about the bundle, anything, just feel free to grab a seat. And in the meantime, keep shooting shit.
I just want to do a quick shout out to Jonathan there that just jumped on, because he's on his third cup of coffee and we can totally relate to that. I think we are fueled by caffeine and we love it.
Yeah.
Jenny has a question though. I'm excited to answer too.
Go for it.
So she's asked, what will you be talking about on future blabs? Thank you, Jenny. So, yeah, Jonathan, we would mainline it too if we could, I think. And I think that would probably be the worst thing for us. So we are actually launching, we've called this the Hot Seat, Solopreneur Success. We're actually going to be hosting the Hot Seat on a weekly basis from now on. It's an idea we've had for a really long time, especially Christina. She's been on it for a really long time. But the lab just gives us the perfect opportunity to do it. So it's one of those things where, again, it's like, oh, now is the right time because, the stars are kind of aligning. So in future hot seats, I think, Christina, I'll let you take this over because I know, again, a Google Doc lives and exists with all of your ideas.
I told Sarah, I was like, I'm just going to write down every single idea that I have about what we could potentially talk about. And I'm just going to sit you down and just interrogate you. So I don't want to give everything away, but a few kind of tier things. One thing Coach Jenny will be really interested in is we do some coaching with One Woman Shop. We absolutely love it. And as we coach more and more clients, we're really figuring out our style. And we're figuring out not only our style, but how to articulate our style. So one thing we'll be talking about is how to choose a business coach and how to choose a business coach that really works for you. Like therapist or like, it really matters the fit that you have with your coach. So that's one topic. I'm trying to think of all the other awesome topics. Sarah, what else did I put on that list?
Yeah, no, a little bit of everything. I think it's, what Jenny talked about. We're kind of listening to what we're hearing in our Facebook group and on Twitter, seeing where people really are struggling or excelling in business, and then kind of just riffing on those things. The hot seat will probably be about, 15 to 20 minute episodes where we kind of, nicely interrogate each other. But then, we'd love for other people to join the conversation too, of course.
Yeah, basically just anything that Sarah and that I kind of talk with Sarah about, I think is a great thing to put out there, because, just based on that assumption, if one person's interested, probably 10 people are interested. And so I think that that's a good rule of thumb for business, is if somebody's asking the question, 10 people are asking the question.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear ideas too. If any of you, want to hear something, or just let us know.
Jenny, you're so on it. So Jenny just asked, will you be blabbing more about how to establish and run great collaborations? Yes, now we will.
Yeah.
We talk about this again in the Building Your Online Community course, and we talked yesterday with Coach Jenny on a lab about how the Solopreneur Success Bundle is for us kind of the ultimate collaboration, and we collaborate with people in big and small ways. And so we will be kind of just chit-chatting about those different ways and different ideas for collaborating effectively, which we think is really crucial for business ownership.
Yeah, so I think that's actually like the perfect segue into just bringing it back one more time to what we're doing with the bundle. So unfortunately, it expires tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, because we have these super fantastic contributors, but we can't bundle their products with that steep of a discount forever, unfortunately. So Christina, if you want to throw the link in there one more time. But, next week we'll definitely be sharing kind of a wrap up of bundle week, what it's entailed, if we're not sleeping and hibernating the whole week. But we have a really fantastic behind the scenes post coming, because we've certainly learned a lot, and we definitely want to share that with everybody. But yeah, grab the bundle if you're interested. Shoot us any questions. It's onewomanshop@gmail.com. Pretty easy. And thank you so much, everybody that jumped on today. This was our first blab, and hopefully the first of many, 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 right?
Yes. God, I'm so excited. I don't even want to get off right now. I just want to keep blabbing. I love to talk.
Blab. Thank you so much, Coach Jenny, too, for turning us onto this platform and kind of helping us get started. So excited about that.
Yes. And I just saw a few more people jumped on. So if anyone has any last questions, we can just hang out for a few more minutes. If anyone wants to jump on.
Yeah.
Cool.
One fun fact we didn't share is that Christina and I have been working together for over a year now, but that we've never met in person. So we're usually seeing each other in boxes like this, whether it's Google Hangout, Blab, Skype.
Yes. So we were just talking with somebody about this yesterday, about kind of the value of online friendships and business relationships. And we were saying that, when you're not in this world, it sounds so weird. Like, you have online friends? It's just strange. But we actually wrote a post called "You Know You're a Solopreneur When," and it's all about the craziness that we just come to accept as totally normal as solopreneurs. But yeah, it's always fun to tell people that we have never met. We're business partners, and it's not sketchy, even though I live in Guatemala. And I have to explain this to people sometimes.
Yeah, there's nothing like going to a bank and telling them that you're business partners in Guatemala, and they look at you like you're accepting wire transfers from a Nigerian prince.
Yeah. But one day we'll meet in person. Cool. Well, it doesn't look like there's any more questions. But we hope you all grab the Solopreneur Success Bundle before tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. And we will see you on our next live.
Thank you all for coming.
Bye, friends. I'm stop recording.